Yeah, you don't work here no more.
I don't, no.
So you're sitting next to the office, so
can't-
stay with it.
You just can't make a clean break anymore.
No, I'm trying to be nice every once in a while, please don't get used to it.
You're,
We're gonna have to talk to Tony about the train schedule, so.
Yes, would you please, because I would appreciate that. If 5 o'clock says I get another one on my way home,
Every time coming to and from here, she just stops on train.
all, like 90% of the time, for real.
Eat me.
Have they started a Sherry?
Done.
Good.
I mean, I think they got some shouldering and some striping to do, but that, yeah, it's all paved.
Good.
that's nice.
Yeah, I got yelled at because we didn't do our south end where they went down, what the heck's the name of the road now? Out by Scenic View. We
I'll have to look at a
only
map.
did Sherry, and they did the subdivision,
Oh,
but it just stops at,
stop.
yeah. Wasn't part of our road plan.
Good to see you, Mr.
They did that the 1 year, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They stopped right in front of my house, you know, I lived in Artesia.
Oh, yeah, Artesian.
I used to jump on the trampoline in your
Boom,
road.
right there.
Oh, well, it's, you know,
Jimmy?
whoever wanted to
I think
pay
so.
the names, yeah.
What is your name?
Steve, Steiger. We live in
Did
Old
that answer most of the
Okay.
questions, you think?
Down in Fallen Court.
Yeah,
I said.
all right. Call this planning commission meeting to order, start over roll call, trustee Howdy Shell is excused and Commissioner Mecca is excused. Commissioner Peterson,
Here,
Planner Sinsky, President Lysick here, obviously, Clerk Ford,
Here,
Commissioner Bennett,
Yeah.
Commissioner Zimbrowski here. Mr. Kennedy's not here.
maybe he's just not here yet.
We do have a quorum though, just barely. Also Fire Marshal Brunk and Engineer out. No public hearings, consideration and approval of minutes from the June 23rd meeting.
Make a motion to dispense the reading of minutes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't have minutes.
That's why it's easy to dispense the reading.
They're done, you want me to go for them?
Yeah, I don't have them. They're not in my packet.
We'll skip that one. Come back to it.
Okay, we'll move the agenda along a little bit here. Item 4, public comments. Any public comments? Okay. Item 5, old business Cajun project, discussion with Mr. Cajun referencing what needs to be done to close his project. I got a call from Sahak last week.
Yes.
He was going to put a little topsoil on, a little seed, a little water, just a couple of bare spots right on the top plateau.
That's the main area that's an issue. We had a significant rill.
You need me to lock up?
No,
Thank you, bye.
We had a significant rill, kind of rut, probably 50 feet long and about a foot and a half wide at the top, and then it went down about a foot and a half deep. That was caused when the contractor came and did the planting last fall. They changed the grade and made water run down an area that we had not designed for it to do, and it was an unstabilized area, so it caused a major rill. We repaired it with fill and with sod, so it's not an issue anymore. So the main thing now is the top plateau. There's areas that have grown, but as far as when the winter wheat was put in, that grew in very thick and full, but the perennial planting is not that full. So we're mitigating that. We're overseeding. We put down additional mulch. We did not put down topsoil at this point because we thought that would do more damage to the existing grass that is there, and rather than destabilize that to stabilize another area, we would have done more damage than the area that we're repairing. So we're trying it this way, and we'll keep you posted. I'll send photographs. I can send them to you, Warren, and to the clerk, and to Will Hine, if that's beneficial.
Yep.
Mary, if you want them to.
I'm kind of outside the loop when it comes to all that restoration work.
Have you started pulling, did Will talk to you about pulling the wattles one every couple of weeks, going up the
The
incline?
wattles are all out.
They're all out, okay.
And that's pretty thickly vegetated there. It's about 4 feet high of alfalfa and other
Perfect.
vegetation. There might be a little bit of areas that are kind of bare where the wattles were, but we can put the mulch over that and stabilize it. I want to contact the DNR as quickly as possible when I'm satisfied that they'll be satisfied, and then we will put in the notice of termination, and then we will come back to you.
Okay.
So,
August 1st coming up on Monday, so time's short.
yeah,
Definitely want to get that closed out by, probably the beginning of September, if we can.
if we can. Last year,
We don't want it to go through the winter again.
no, but with the dry season, and last year we had a drought condition. This year also has been dry, maybe not as bad as last year. We did just get some rain recently, and we seeded right before that, and we've seen a difference.
Can I call you back?
Yeah.
What happens is in August, like middle of August and September, besides rain, we get dew, and the dew is, and the lower temperature is actually good for the grass growth. So we will have it under control, and we would like to take care of it ourselves and submit it. But if we can get it done before the end of August, as soon as we can, we want to have it done. But if it takes a little longer, last year things were growing into November, even though the official growing season ends on October 15th. It was probably November 15th and grass was still growing, or winter wheat was growing.
Very good.
So if there's any other questions or concerns.
I don't think so. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Good luck with your grass growing.
We're working on it. We're cutting it, and we're as we cut it, it actually spreads out more than if you leave it long. The hormones change and it makes the grass grow sideways as opposed to vertically, and it actually spreads out and covers more area. So we'll have it in good shape.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Maybe by this time next month we'll be saying all done.
Well, let's just keep rolling with the agenda. We'll circle back to minutes later. Item 6, new business, review discussion and possible approval of property owner Extreme Exteriors Incorporated in care of Jamie Peterson. Plans to proceed with relocation of contaminated spoils material from their existing location to a new location in the northwest corner of the former dump site property, a vacant 5-acre site, Zone B2 Local Service Center District, and located immediately east of and adjacent to South 86, West 22880 Edgewood Avenue. We have a bunch of stuff in your packet here.
Basically, it amounts to this. Jamie Peterson sent me a couple of weeks ago the written course or the electronic correspondence he had gotten from the DNR, indicating that they approved his plan to relocate some contaminated material that's currently on the dump site to a new location on the dump site, the former dump site, and configure it a little bit differently. And within the DNR's attachments, which were the expressions of their approval as to his detailed plan for this to be done, essentially said, here's the requirement, here's how you're going to do it, here's how you're going to finish it off, so on and so forth. So provided he does do this work in accordance with their terms of approval, DNR says we're good. But what Jamin's message to me said was, you know, essentially, I'm putting you on notice that we have all these permits and we're going to go do this. And I have learned, like I think all of you have, through the course of recent topics that have come up that involve environmentally contaminated spaces, places, that these are very, very high, they have high potential for liabilities and responsibilities. So I personally did not want to be the person who was just simply put on notice and did nothing about it. And I talked to the village president and the village's consulting engineer and asked would either of them like to be the individual responsible for accepting this notice and doing something about it. And nobody did obviously want to do that unilaterally. So we referred to the village attorney, and he responded, but his correspondence was marked not for distribution, confidential, unless released by the village board. But to summarize his response, it effectively said this: first of all, you should be able to determine internally at the staff level that it was contemplated, it was understood at the time that the Lake Park condos were being developed, that when they put that drive across the former dump site, they were going to be potentially grabbing some contaminated material from the surface and parking it on this former dump site. And we know that that is in fact the case. When the Lake Park condos were developed, we understood that if when they scraped that for the drive, they had contamination, they could either dispose of it at a contamination location or park it on the former dump site and await further instructions, basically. So we did cross that threshold of the attorney's advice, discern that it was part of what was contemplated when Lake Park storage condos were developed. And then secondly, the village attorney goes on to say that if that is the case, this should be a planning commission decision to accept and acknowledge the work that's going to be done in the terms of the approval that the DNR has given. So that's why this thing comes all the way through to the planning commission, because it's a, you know, contamination is a huge issue, and it really does have to be at every step of the process dispensed with through an elected or an appointed body of the village. So it's up to you guys to evaluate the correspondence you see from the DNR and simply either acknowledge that the notice that this work is planned and done or being done, and probably give some instruction that the village would follow up to ensure that it was completed according to the DNR's instructions. Maybe the village's consulting engineer can do that. And that's all I have for you on it.
Did anybody have time to read through all this DNR stuff besides me? I had it 2 days ago when Mary had it, and I think Naomi did as well. The Cliff's Notes version of it is, there's a pile of dirt here. He's gonna windrow it into a berm, almost in the same spot.
Yeah, like within 20 feet.
Yeah, I mean, from a GIS map, it doesn't look like it hardly moves. He's just gonna windrow it out, and then they're requiring him to put a 2-foot cap on it of clay loam, or whatever they called it, and vegetate it. I think it's our job in the future to inspect to make sure that, because he's required to maintain it. So we will have to probably do an annual inspection just to maintain, you know, the depth and the vegetation or whatever, 5-minute stop.
Well, if I could say something on behalf of Extreme Exteriors, because I have to abstain anyhow from anything that you guys would vote on. If you look at what was, it's already been done. We had Ross Grading do it, you know, who's very professional. He took everything from the DNR and he said he did it, everything exactly the way they wanted it done. We didn't cap it yet because we figured somebody wanted to look at it, you know. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
You guys just did that like yesterday or today,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And it wasn't to be, just to do it, just to, to rub it in somebody's face or do anything like that. They did it because Ross was there and he's not gonna be there, and we wanted somebody beside us to do the grading that was a professional that would get it done the right way. And that was the only reason it was done this quickly. So we know we still have to put the cap on it. But I think everything else, we went strictly exactly how the DNR wanted it done.
That was all spelled out pretty clearly in the specs, both by the DNR and your engineer.
Yeah, so I mean, if Naomi wanted to take a look at it, or one of your engineers want to look, just before we put a cap on it, in case you want, in case we interpreted something differently from the DNR's instructions, then you can maybe tell us that, but I think everything's done the way it's supposed to be.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
If-
I mean, I would say the best thing to do would be to just go ahead and cap it.
Yeah,
And just get it covered.
I mean-
Yeah, don't wait for us to come out.
All right, because
Get it
I
covered
think that's
first,
the important
right?
thing, is just get it, because you don't want rain to start hitting the thing, and
Yeah, I don't want
yeah, I
Are you
think
prepared
we'd
to
be
cap
more,
it now?
we could cap it, yeah, we've got plenty of clay, we've had hauled in, because we had to bring extra clay in, because we're gonna redo some of that bottom of that pond, that retention pond. So they got that thing all cleaned out really good, and now they're gonna go back in there and
So
put some riprap where it had to be.
So the DNR said it was okay to do, but then they said, we're gonna leave the decision up to you guys whether or not you let it go forward.
No,
no, we got no decision in it whatsoever. They have full permission. We can either approve it or deny it, which just means that we don't recognize this as binding on our end.
So whether we approve it or deny it, they can still move forward based on the letter they got from the DNR.
I actually would say it's not even as much of an approval or a denial as it is accepting and acknowledging the notice you've been given by the property owner that he's doing this work in accordance with these approvals from the DNR.
That's correct.
That's
You
what I
are
read.
acknowledging it, not me personally,
Correct.
not
Okay.
anyone else personally. This group, this body is acknowledging it and accepting it.
Do we need a motion on that, or
I think that would be appropriate.
I will make a motion to acknowledge and accept the recommended moving and capping and vegetating of their spoils pile at,
In accordance with the DNR.
Right.
And approvals.
I'll second it, but I'd like to add, when they do get finished, that we do have, we go on to.
Yeah, I was gonna say that mine.
yeah, we're gonna have to have more than, probably have to do annual or biannual inspections just to make sure it's not moving or,
I wonder if your motion might include, well, I guess, I just noticed that within 60 days after completion of the project, on page 4 of the DNR letter, they had some documentation, that was supposed to be submitted, but I guess all that will be made public. You could ask for that to be copied to the village. I don't know if that's even, I'm looking
Yeah.
at other items 3. I mean, it's pretty clear it's the property owner's responsibility and decision for the movement of the material and following.
Right. but if we, yeah, we'll include that in the motion that we get copied in on the correspondence when they complete that. And that we are allowed to do a few inspections on it after.
Do you want to let me know when you're finished with the cap? and-
Absolutely.
When, how often do you typically inspect those? Is it annually or every 5
They
years?
said they
I don't
have to
know.
do, that the DNR would do annual inspections.
They will?
owners, let me see. I think the DNR is.
You do an annual inspection, then you submit it to the DNR.
Yeah, and then they track that.
So does that mean PSI has to?
And you
do
do it
that
online,
inspection?
it's all done online.
That would be a question for the DNR.
You can have PSI do it or you can do it. We've cleaned up 6 sites, so that's one, no.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is permanent
This is permanent.
until there's a remediation plan becomes
Until-
law.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And actually, where they put the berm is right where, remember where they were worried about the headlights along that curve?
Yes.
So they put the berm there so they can put trees on top of the berm as well. So it's gonna kind of twofold, you know, to block the headlights.
That's all I have.
I will, talk with Travis about the inspection and if he recommends an annual.
Yeah,
I'll ask.
right,
him.
okay, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
It's the majority of the members present.
I don't know how that works. I think it's okay.
I believe it.
We had enough members to do a quorum.
Yeah, but we're one short of what they'd be abstaining.
I think a majority of the members,
That are present,
yeah,
Yeah,
as long as we have a
present,
quorum.
I mean, it's equal.
under a quorum.
Yeah.
I'm not positive, you may have to have the clerk double back on.
All right, but the motion passes for now.
We're gonna have to ask one.
Should the motion not pass according to Hoyle, we will put it on the agenda again for next month. Okay, we will circle back to the minutes. We're ready to dispense with the reading of.
It's because it's set to go
Bless you.
unless you wait to decide. Word does that automatically. Bless you.
Not sure what such a space might be needs.
It's spelled right.
There's an extra with there in the bottom paragraph in the first sentence. Spoke with, concerns with, about.
Got it.
motion to approve minutes, June 23rd, 2022 as corrected.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, planners report, Mary.
I have no updates to give you.
Okay, item 8, fire inspector's report.
We started our second half of inspections beginning of August. And everything else is going fine out there. Everything is looking good. Except that, I don't know if you guys remember that, where the Cross Pizza is, there's a guy that got money to open up a used furniture store. Well, there's nothing happening there, so you guys know.
I recently talked to the owner there, about it. He said that, the guy has gotten his money from the feds already, but, he's starting out fairly slow. He says they looked in there, same thing, nothing in here, what's going on?
No, I mean, okay.
Doesn't seem to be in a real.
You guys take it from there, that's all I'm telling you.
He says the guy doesn't seem to be in a real hurry, he's paid his bills monthly, so as far as Doug was concerned,
Yeah,
you know, as long as he's not wrecking stuff, he was fine.
and pays the rent.
Yes.
Other than that, that's all I have. You got anything of me? You want?
No, sir, thank you.
You're welcome, anytime, I'll send you the bill.
Sure will.
Building inspector's report, anything from Jason? I had some correspondence with him last week, I think. I had a citizen complain about a tree that was falling over Big Bend Road, Big Bend Drive. And a neighbor wouldn't trim it, and, you know, it was causing problems for the one neighbor, and had Jason run out there and take a look at it, and he couldn't find anything that was really hanging over the road or causing a problem. I said, well, you know, maybe stop back and knock on the guy's door and ask him, you know, point at the tree or something, so the resident that complained wasn't at when he stopped for the first time, so. We'll see. Moving along, item 10, engineers report, Naomi.
I got a couple things. Ripplebrook East is under construction. Will is doing the erosion control inspections. There's some pictures in your packet from his inspection on July 14th. Overall, I think things were pretty good. There's just a couple things that he noted that needed to be put up. Some, like the tracking pad and posting of the permit and the plans on site. Other than that, there weren't really any other issues that he noted in his report. Storage condos moving forward. We haven't, of course, not been out there in a while, so it's just erosion control right now with ATI. And then Douglas Court was repaved this past week, and I think that went pretty well. There's one, the Lasix driveway, they complained about a lip on it from the repaving. So Mike Timmers is off today and tomorrow, but he's been in communication with them. It's not out there. I'm not. Construction is construction. I'm not sure we can or will be able to do anything, but he's looked at it. And then I have been. Mike Timmers said that Cardinal has been out on site doing some surveying, so I'm hoping they're putting together the as-bills for the pond and getting some of the other items. There was shouldering, I think, still needs to be done, and potentially some grading in the ditch line.
Perfect.
So, moving forward. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. We haven't had anything for review. No? So, it's been quiet.
No correspondence? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Because we're done with chapter 16.
I'm number one.
Pine number one is not.
He's the one.
So then you're not gonna be working here anymore ever again anymore.
Yeah,